वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रम् नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम् मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधो विधीयते.
Continue from here only.
जी. साधनचतुष्टयसम्पन्नाधिकारिणां मोक्षसाधनभूतं तत्त्वविवेकप्रकारं वक्ष्यामः. साधनचतुष्टयं किम्? नित्यानित्यवस्तुविवेकः इहामुत्रार्थफलभोगविरागः क्षमादिषट्कसम्पत्तिः मुमुक्षुतं चेअति. नित्यानित्यवस्तुविवेकः कः? नित्यवस्त्वेकं ब्रह्म तद्व्यतिरिक्तं सर्वं नित्यम् अयमेव नित्यानित्यवस्तुविवेकः. इसके बाद नजर नहीं आ रहा. विरागः कः? इह स्वर्ग भोगेषु इच्छाराहित्यम् क्षमादि साधन संपत्तिका क्षमोदम उपरमस्ति तिक्षा श्रद्धा समाधानं चेति. क्षमः कः? मनोनिग्रहः. दमः कः? चक्षुरादि बाहेन्द्रिय निग्रहः. उपरमः कः? स्वधर्मानुष्ठानमेव. तितिक्षा कः? शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखादि सहिष्णुत्वम्. श्रद्धा कीदृशी? गुरु वेदांत वाक्यादिषु विश्वासः श्रद्धा. समाधानं किं? चित्तैकाग्रता. मुमुक्षुत्वं किं? मोक्षो मे भूयाद इति इच्छा. एतत् साधनचतुष्टयं ततस्तु तत्त्वविवेकाधिकारिणो भवन्ति.
Excellent. Oh,
तत्त्वविवेकः कः? आत्मा सत्यस्तदन्यत् सर्वमिथ्येति. आत्मा कः? स्थूल सूक्ष्म कारण शरीराद्वयतिरिक्तः पंचकोशातीतः सन अवस्थात्रय साक्षी सच्चिदानंद स्वरूपः सन यस्तिष्ठति स आत्मा.
excellent. Wonderful. Amazing. Excellent. Very, 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 very good. Keep it up. Great. So, we are on this topic. Atma Satyah Tat Anyat Sarvam Mithya Iti. And what is Atma? Atma Kaha? For which think we'll have to join. We are seeing Atma Kaha. And the important part about Vedanta is there is very fine process of seeing the truth by separating it from something which appears to be the truth. In other words, जैसे खान में से आप precious material ढूंढते हो, you look for coal. इतना vast area होगा, or say gold, which is even more in streaks. But when you have to excavate gold, you have to dig up the entire soil, and उसमें से you have to identify gold and extract it. Vedanta is a process like that. The world that we see, what we see as ourselves, we are all looking at a perception with certain ideas of reality about it. हमें इसमें कोई संशय नहीं है कि ये जागृत अवस्था, this world, जागृत अवस्था is our Vedantic idea. But for us, my life is this world. And everything I see here in this world is actually only the truth. ये सत्य है. जन्म सत्य है, मृत्यु सत्य है, विकार सत्य है, पाना सत्य है, खोना सत्य है, सब कुछ सब सत्य लगता है यहाँ. मगर ये सत्य हमें आनंद रूप नहीं लगता. It doesn't seem to give me a state of unbroken happiness. इस आनंद में रुक रुक के there are pauses of unhappiness, sadness, or whatever, some vikar of the mind. To understand that this one perception is actually made up of two things. Made up of two things. हमारी नजर से जो हमें एक लग रहा है वो दो है. How is it two? One is looking at all forms, and I see some forms are inert and some are conscious. Some exhibit life, some don't exhibit life. I call it dead, dead matter. I call it inert object. So the world that I see has in it the quality of inertness, and I also see that it seems to have consciousness. It seems to be alert. It seems to be alive. This distinction that I see, inert and conscious, according to Shastra, Vedanta Shastra, both of them are actually only one. What I see as two here, inert and conscious, and I see myself in a world of plurality. I see that there are changes here, ever there. I see a lot of things that I don't question, I don't need to question, because it seems to be the universal acceptance. Everybody understands it so. It is the truth. But in Vedanta, you recognize that everything that I'm calling in the multi-plural world as real is actually not standing the definition of reality. ये सत्य नहीं है. अगर ये सत्य नहीं है, तो I need to establish a relationship between सत्य क्या है in the first place, है भी कि कुछ नहीं है, और अगर है तो क्या है, और ये जो इसको मैं सत्य कह रही हूं ये क्या है. So what I'm calling as Satya, the world, plural, Shastra tells me it is Mithya. लग रहा है कि real है, but it is not real. What is real then? He says real is Adhya, has no negation. And it is called Atma. It is Atma. And that Atma is actually you yourself. But now a doubt comes. I myself, so I'm a part of this world. In my perception, my cognition, मैं तो इस दुनिया का एक हिस्सा हूं, छोटा सा अंश हूं. मगर शास्त्र मुझे कह रहा है कि ये आत्मा तुम सत्य है, और जो कुछ भी तुम मैं कह रहे हो, मीन्स दुनिया का सत्य समझ रहे हो, ये मिथ्या है. This relationship between what my existing idea of reality is and what Shastra shows me as reality, how I am able to falsify my belief, my understanding, by seeing the truth of the world. Jagat means here Shastra says is Atma. It is going to explain to us step by step. And the first step it says is start recognizing जो ये मैं कह रहा है as a part of the world is one side. तो मैं समझ रही हूँ, as I said, quote unquote, I am a part of the world. I was born on such a day. I live here, I exist here, and the world gives me happiness, sometimes sorrow. We only have this life to live, and we don't know what happens after death, and etc. etc. All this, I call it as my knowledge. But Shastra says this whole of your understanding, put it as a part of the mithya. Because ये जो मैं अपने आप को जिंदा अभी समझ रही हूँ एंड बदल रही हूँ एंड हैप्पी हो रही हूँ एक्सेट्रा, ये रेफरेंस पॉइंट ऑफ आत्मा नहीं है, रियल सत्य आत्मा नहीं है. दिस इज ऑल्सो मिथ्या. दिस जीवत्वम, दिस इंडिविजुअलिटी which I call myself as me, is actually also false, unreal, mithya. That being so, now the onus lies on Shastra to tell us then what is Atma and what is Satya, and how is it that I myself am Atma. Because जिसको मैं I समझ रही हूँ वो तो शास्त्र मुझे कह रहा है इसको तो मिथ्या कह दो आप. इंडिविजुअलिटी वाला मैं तो मिथ्या है. आत्मा सत्य है, वो भी तुम्हें ही कहा जा रहा है कि तुम ही आत्मा हो. How now is that Atma to be perceived or seen or understood, and what is its relation with this, what I call as real, me, I, individual? Is this much clear? Little. Here he is saying, when you understand the relation of Atma being Vyatiriktaha, right? To understand this, we were seeing, take the example, Shastra's example of pot of water, which the sun is reflected. This example will convey a siddhant which you may have to digest. Pot of water kept there belongs to which part of my world? It belongs to what I'm seeing, my seen world. In there I see a sun, and I'm very sure while I am seeing the sun, I never get deluded to think that image in the water is real sun. कभी ये भूल नहीं होती मुझसे. Is it correct? ये भूल नहीं होती हमसे कि हम पानी में जो सन दिख रहा है, सूर्य दिख रहा है, हम उसको सत्य सूर्य माने. ये सूर्य सत्य है. While I am looking at it, I definitely know that that sun is actually up there in the sky, out of my reach. My body can't reach it. Actually, I can't even look at it beyond a few seconds. Sun को हम directly देख ही नहीं सकते. We perceive the sunlight, and I see an orb of glow. But my eyes cannot see sun. Yet I know the sun is separate there. I see the sunlight pervading everywhere. And this sunlight which is pervading my entire world is now reflected in that pot as that orb also. इस pot में reflection here is the pot sun. While I am looking at the reflection, I know for certain this is not real, 1. 2, I know for certain that there is a real sun whose reflection this is. 3, for certain I know that that sun has to be there for this reflection to be there. Even though I cannot see it directly, that orb that I see is what I say is definitely there for me to see the reflection. If this sun is not there in the sky, I don't get the reflection. If the water pool is not there, I don't get the reflection. This fundamental is to be grasped. I say that this is a pot. I'm referring to it as a body. In this body, I refer to the Chetan, consciousness, as alive, life. Body pot is here, and I also have the sun here, which is the light. Sun is, that is why in our Shastra has always been equated to light, and light has always been knowledge. That is why we have Gayatri Mantra as a prayer to Sun God, because it is said to be expression of knowledge. This in me, consciousness, what I call as awareness, I am calling it as real, मैं, individual. शास्त्र says ये जो आपका मैं इंडिविजुअल है वो इस पॉट में एक्सप्रेस्ड सनलाइट है, सन है. यू आर कॉलिंग एज मैं इंडिविजुअल, मेरा नाम ये है, मेरी उम्र ये है, एक्सेट्रा. ये एक्चुअली में रिफ्लेक्शन है इन द पॉट, इन द बॉडी. This consciousness is a reflection of what now has to be a real. And that real is referred as Atma, pure consciousness. Just as sun is pervasive, this Atma is pervasive. Much we saw yesterday. And the fact that sun remaining one, there can be many reflecting bodies. Therefore, there may appear to be many suns if you take the reference point, the standpoint of the bodies. There can be many suns from the standpoint of the body. Each and every one of us is a walkie-talkie. We're all walkie-talkie. So each one of us is expressing life, and each one of us believes मैं real हूँ, and so we see there are many reals. Just expanding this further. That light that you saw in the pot, sun in the pot, one pot. Same thing you see it, same on the left side, the single Ganesha. In this form, this the light. One pot has one sun. We saw many pots, means many reflecting mediums, many suns. That one sun in one form is the same sun, same light, same consciousness, same pervasiveness of that consciousness in all the forms. If one, say an idol, why do we worship an idol? Idol is inert matter. This idol being inert, there is no life in it. Then for worship's sake, you say, okay, there's a ritual you do, give it a prana pratishtha. Once you make a prana pratishtha of an idol, now you are treating the idol as if it has chaitanyam in it, reflected now. That means that universal sun, I'm calling it as sun, I'm simultaneously using the example to help understand the abstractness of the concept of truth. Universal sun is reflecting in many pots. The same way, in one idol, what is that which we are imposing, which we are saying gets reflected once this inert matter has been imposed upon with some pran in it, mahapran. The same, there can be many forms of this. I can worship many forms. In our culture, that's why it's an absolute joy to recognize this truth. Any form have the same divinity expressing in it as many forms. Same happens with people. One person, I have consciousness reflected. What happens when there is a crowd of people? Every walkie-talkie is the same one source. Source, in example of light, that source of Chetan. Chetan is consciousness. Chetan is Chit, comes from alive. Chaitanyam becomes the abstract noun of it. There is Chaitanyam here. That tells me that this inert matter is capable of reflecting the real Chaitanyam. That real Chaitanyam, when it gets reflected in a restricted matter piece, this body is a matter piece of matter. When it gets reflected in this piece of matter, I get this idea that I am this little form. The Chaitanyam gets misperceived as the little I. That sun there, when I see it in the pot, if I forget for a moment what sun is, I may mistake that sun in the pot to be sun, real sun. Why I don't make this mistake ever in reference to pot and sun is because I just know the sun is not in the pot. And I cannot forget this. भूलता नहीं है कि sun नहीं है ये. So even when I'm seeing the sun in the pot, I can enjoy it. I know there is water in it. I use it. And I know it's temporary. I can even pray in it. When there is eclipse in those days, they would look at it indirectly to pray at it because you can't look at it directly. You can use it, but the delusion, forgetfulness that this is not sun never happens. But in our case, Vedanta starts here. In our case, what is that real Chaitanyam? I'm somehow not able to perceive, understand. I don't even know there is. Because the Chaitanyam reflecting in this body, I call as real. हूँ ना, और मैं सत्य हूँ, तो मैं क्या हूँ? If I am asked, then you say, I am this, I am this. And I probe you further. What do you mean by this? I'm individuality. But what? I'm this body. When I start combining the Chaitanyam with the body, it's called Tadatmyam. शरीर के साथ जब जुड़ा है, तो I get this notion, I am this form. This is my limit. This is my color. This is my gender. This is my age. This is my problem in the body. If I have a cold, what am I saying? Who has the cold? I say I have a cold. Shastra says, see, when I say I have a cold, I have no doubt I have a cold. But Shastra says, यहाँ एक mix-up हुआ है. And the mix-up is, actually the body organs, the body part has got affected by a virus. Matter है, matter को matter affect करता है, the body has got affected by something and you have the runny nose, you have cold. You may have low-grade temperature, the body has this. But I am so one with it that what is happening to the body is my knowledge. And I don't see myself separate from it, so I also feel it's happening to me. So it is that small sun in the pool of water which claims itself as if it's the real sun. It doesn't perceive that it is beyond the boundary of the pot. It is beyond the boundary of the pot. Means this my Chaitanyam here, I am Chaitan. I am conscious. Quality of Chaitanyam, not confined to the body. This knowledge, it's how I look at it. This knowledge, how I look at the sun in the pot with knowledge. I know for some of you are listening to it for the first time, these are new things. But when you hear it again and again, you will start seeing slowly, gradually a depth in it, a truth about it. When I'm seeing the sun in the pot, I'm seeing it with knowledge. What is the knowledge? This is not real and the real is there. When I'm looking at myself, I don't have the knowledge of the real. I only have knowledge of this consciousness expressing in this form, my body. And I look at others who are also walkie-talkies like me, and I am definite that they are also as much alive as I am. And those that don't move is dead matter. So my table is dead, I am alive. Because my table just doesn't move on its own. I wish it did. Imagine while I'm talking and the laptop is on it, and then the table decided it's had enough of the weight of the laptop, and me just constantly putting my hand on it or writing on it. It's got fed up of me and it just gets up. The consciousness in the table, suddenly table gets reflective enough of the consciousness, and now the table has an identity, and the table says, no more, I'm sorry, I refuse to take your weight anymore. I am moving out. And the table decides to move away. Now, I'm sure the table will not do this. Why? Because I have never seen the table move on its own till I move it. उसमें मर्जी नहीं है उसकी. टेबल अपनी मर्जी से कुछ नहीं कर रहा, तो उसकी मर्जी कहीं दिख ही नहीं रही, एक्सप्रेस ही नहीं हो रही. और अगर नहीं एक्सप्रेस हो रही तो ऐसे ये तो डेड है. अब अपनी मर्जी से कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. It can't move a limb. It can't move. It does nothing. It just stays there. It exists there. But me, is this body also? However much we intellectualize it, we know why is science progress so much is because body is inert. इसमें कोई एक्चुअली में डाउट नहीं है. Why do we have so many specialists? मेरे हार्ट को कुछ होता है तो कोई और हार्ट स्पेशलिस्ट मेरे हार्ट को ठीक इसलिए करता है बिकॉज उसने किसी और के हार्ट की स्टडी करके उसको काट कूट के देखा था कि उसका अगर हार्ट ऐसे हो रहा है तो इसका भी हार्ट ऐसा ही फंक्शन हो रहा है. आई डोंट हैव अ यूनिक हार्ट एंड अ किडनी. Means what? All matter is just by itself insentient. But wherever we see gradation of sentiency, we say this is more conscious, this is more alive. Recognized by how much do they have their free will expressed. उस फ्री हो जाता है. बट ये जो विचार है कि मैं हूं और मैं ही सत्य हूं. इफ आई आस्क यू, you will say मैं भी हूं, मैं भी सत्य हूं. We ask a third person, we ask the whole crowd. None of these people in the crowd, not one of them, will actually turn up and say my body is inert. I seem to be expressing life, but I am living experiences. I am living happiness and sorrows. I have a lot of experiences. Seems to be coming from my contact with the world and from the body sometimes. But what is the nature of this consciousness? Why are we so many of us expressing similar consciousness? Awareness, चेतन. चेतन है यहाँ पे. व्यतिरिक्तः means व्यतिरिक्तः. That I call myself limited to this 5 feet something, etc. Body having a birth is going to obviously not have existence forever. It's not immortal. Body is not immortal. What happens to this consciousness which is now reflecting in this body? मैं वॉकी टॉकी हूं अभी, कल का मुझे नहीं पता. क्या मैं कल भी वॉकी टॉकी? We saw this recently. I think it's become very viral now. A person was playing, a 49-year-old person was playing cricket somewhere. And then suddenly on खेल रहा है, उसके 1 मिनट पहले वो जाके अपने सामने वाले से कुछ बात कर रहा है. He comes back, takes the stand of a non-striker and he collapses. Now where is that Chetan from this body? Now that body, a millisecond before, was expressing life. And when it was expressing life, the person has full of will and power and desire and ये करूंगा, ये बनूंगा, वो करूंगा, ये होगा. सब कुछ कितना एनिमेशन है. Full animation. Animated body. What happens to this Chetan? It was restricted to the body. Then when the body is still there. But now the Chetan doesn't seem to be there. What happened? Small ways when you start inquiring. चेतन जिसको मैंने इस शरीर में बांधा समझा है, बंधा समझा है. You have to perceive the words well to understand them. इस चेतन को मैंने इस शरीर में बंधा समझा है. मगर एक पल ऐसा आ जाता है कि शरीर रह जाता है, मगर अब वो शरीर चेतन नहीं रहता. किसके लिए शरीर रह गया? जो पीछे तुम्हें नहीं पता तुम्हारा शरीर रह गया कि तुम तो क्या हो. तुम तो फिर क्या तुम शरीर थे? Were you the body? Because to you, you don't know that your body, I am here and the body is there. At this point, when I'm one with the body, I say I am the body. There's a technical term for it. This kind of a Chetan associated with the body is called Dehoham. Deh Aham. इससे जुड़ा हुआ Aham. Aham is Chaitanya. We saw that. Atma. It's joined with the body. I say Aham. मैं. क्या लगता है? फिर देखने वालों ने देखा है, जिसको ये एक लग रहा है, उन्होंने देखा है कि कभी ऐसा हमने देखा है जरूर कि अभी तो ये चल रहा है, बात कर रहा है. Every loss that we have experienced in our life, we have all gone through the same emotion of wonderment. That loss is irreplaceable, most often for everyone. Why is it irreplaceable? Because the person you contacted was actually not the body. वो शरीर नहीं था. लेकिन यही बात जब हम अब पूछते हैं, जब हम अपने आप को शरीर समझ रहे हैं, क्या ये कॉग्निशन, ये नॉलेज अभी है? When I see the pot and the sun, I have the knowledge the sun is not here. But do I have the same knowledge that this consciousness that is expressing in the body is not that consciousness? I mean, it's not restricted to the body. ये तो pervasive है. ये तो शरीर तो खाली माध्यम है, उसमें दिख रही है अभी, लेकिन इसकी रिस्ट्रिक्शन इस शरीर को लेके नहीं है. ये आत्मा शरीर से जुड़ी जरूर है अभी, मुझे लग रही है, क्योंकि उसमें मैं दिख रही हूं, मगर मेरे मैं बस जुड़ी हुई दिख रही हूं. मगर जब ज्ञान से धीरे धीरे अपनी चित्त शुद्ध मनहा में जब ये ज्ञान बैठता है और मुझे ये दिखता है कि मैं शरीर से जुड़ी हुई, चेतन शरीर से जुड़ा हुआ हो ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि अगर वो जुड़ा हुआ था तो शरीर के साथ वो खत्म हो जाता है. And that is what is the Charvaka philosophy, that is what is the scientist's philosophy, that is what is the modern inquiry all about when you base it only on the senses. कि जब जन्म हुआ तो it seems that consciousness is a property of the body, matter. Consciousness seems to be a small subset of vast matter. I see the world as inert. I see galaxies and life as inert. In a scientific view, all matter is inert, and that exists. In that we try to look for signs of consciousness, signs of life. So we're looking for alien life, ignoring the earthly life. We want to find alien life. कि अगर हम यहां जिंदा है तो कोई और कहीं पे तो जिंदा होगा. हमारी यहाँ लाइफ का क्या हाल है उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, लेकिन we need to know कहीं और कोई और जिंदा है कि नहीं है. So what we are trying to see is, from a scientific perspective, from materialistic perspective, where the entire idea is matter is inert and consciousness gets only us, is a subset in it, is a part of it. One of the things in matter is maybe a property of matter. कि जैसे आप अगर H2O और O को join कर लो तो you get water and water becomes liquid. From gas you've got a liquid. So property changed. In that sense, there is a certain combination of matter where the property changes and it becomes conscious. And then what? Then we are still discovering in science, but then you see, we don't know the answer of death. We don't have many answers. So, but then what happens? So when the body dies, now with that, the consciousness is dead. गई, क्योंकि उसकी प्रॉपर्टी थी ना. तो जब ये मृत्यु यहाँ हो गई, इस शरीर की मृत्यु हो गई, तो वो भी गई, फिनिश्ड. That means what? A person was not an entity. If you see the implications of this thought, it's quite, in a way, funny and in a way scary. That means you are saying ये जो जिंदा entity है, ये कुछ है ही नहीं. It's a product of matter. Am I going a little too bouncers? Is it bouncing off?
No, ma'am, I'm just trying to absorb what you're saying slowly. Yeah.
Your videos are off. I won't even be surprised if you're sleeping. Or you've just kept it on and you've disappeared, you see? I will. What happens when you take a materialistic stand, scientific so-called, in this context? When I just say that this matter is real, I see conscious as a property of matter. That means जब जन्म हुआ था ना, उसमें चेतन आई. वो चेतन came as a part of the modification of the matter. It was a property of the matter. Just as, example again, H2 when it combined with O, H3 combines with O2, you don't get water. Both are hydrogen and oxygen. But it must have H2 take from oxygen and hydrogen gives to oxygen. In this particular proportion, suddenly two gases have become liquid. Science it helps us understand how the changes are happening and they change the property. But is consciousness also one of the properties that comes about because of the modification of matter? That is the debate in which all schools of philosophy or religions, everyone is trying to figure out. ये जो मैं जिंदा हूं ना अभी, walkie talkie, all full of aham and ahankar. Full. I know I have this. I go to sleep every day. And I wake up every day. I know for certain if I have had a birthday and a birth year, I will have a bye-bye year. And a bye-bye day. Goodbye day and a goodbye year. That will be a snap away. No contact with nobody. Abhi, the sharir is reflecting consciousness. But what happens when the sharir suddenly, what we call as, is now the person is gone? Like I gave the example of the cricket pitch person. It's I think a viral video. Suddenly, and you find many examples like that. In this particular, because of Corona, you saw so many people affected by it like that. Now, if we believe that consciousness is a property of the matter, then we are virtually concluding that ये जो जिंदा इंसान है ना, ये कुछ भी नहीं है. It's a non-entity because matter is important. And this मैं who has come about because of the modification of matter doesn't matter. It is just going to go away someday. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? It's not important. What is the right word? It is a non-entity. Or can I call myself a non-entity? सारे झगड़े इस सृष्टि में हो रहे हैं because हम अपने आप को non-entity मानते ही नहीं है. हम अपने आप को बहुत जरूरी मानते हैं, बहुत important मानते हैं. So if we call ourselves so important, I'm not a non-entity. Don't treat me like one. I'm an important person. I'm a valid person. I call myself so much. Others say, okay, when we give respect to someone, we say, itne man the, ye itne wo the, etc. Others also give importance to that means this conscious being here is not a non-entity. Like I can dismiss matter, I cannot dismiss a conscious being. I can dismiss matter because it doesn't move on its own. It doesn't exhibit its own will. It doesn't exhibit consciousness. Magar I am not able to treat conscious life form as a non-entity because the conscious life form is exhibiting in it Chetan. What Chetan? He said in the definition, उसका स्वरूप है सच्चिदानंद. That Chetan is not restricted to this body, because if it was restricted to the body, then with the body gone, the Chetan is gone. But that is where the question comes. Is it really gone? All schools of thought, even in Vedic culture, have come about around this question. The relationship between Chetan and Jada, Jada Chetan, दोनों वस्तु कहा गया है. जड़ वस्तु, चेतन वस्तु, इनका संबंध क्या है? So when in a very simple definition it says Atma Satyam Tat Anyat Sarvam Mithya. Everything else is mithya, and mithya doesn't make it non-entity. So you find those who have the Vedic sanskars and the Vedic knowledge, who are exposed to this knowledge, they cannot treat anything in the world as inert. हम किसी चीज को जड़ नहीं मानते. And that is why God's idols are made from matter, but we don't treat matter as tucham. We don't have an attitude of utility beyond need. We don't have an attitude of treating matter as tuch. Tuch nahi hai. It's dead. We can't treat it as dead. Even dead matter, we say, is an expression of Chetan. And that Chetan may not be expressing as prana and life in the matter, but it expresses itself as existence. So, overall, if you see, to understand that this Atma, which is distinct from this little I that I am capsuling in my own body as Chetan and me, Atma is actually a kind of this real. And till this small me, we call it small me, small I, individuality, and technically Jiva Atma. ये जो जीव है, जीवात्मा. This Jeev Atma's real nature, the sun is reflected in the pot, call it as Jiva sun, Jeevatma. इसका जो real स्वभाव है ना, वो restricted to the pot नहीं है. Because जब pot जाएगा तो उसके साथ जरूर ये sun चला जाएगा. मगर जो real sun है ना, उसको तो कोई फर्क भी नहीं पड़ेगा. That real sun doesn't get affected by the pot and the reflection and the loss of the pot and the reflection gone. That real sun, now Chaitanyam, is expressing, manifesting here in this sharir, but not recognized. I am mistaking the small reflection as Satyam. think we will end here because there's too much of material here. And subtle thoughts will need, I'm sure, a little bit of going over. But the base of Vedanta has got initiated. As this portion moves ahead, you will begin to realize ये जो small conditioned मैं कहा हुआ है मैंने, conditioned me, conditioned being to the body, is what is the definition going to say is not Atma in the sense that it is Satyam. Therefore, if I call the small as Satyam, I need to correct it. It is Mithya. The small is Mithya. And how will I correct it? He's going to say it's Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vyatirikta. Now this small which is Mithya is going to get opened up. ये क्या है, ये छोटा मैं लगा हुआ है, and trust me, if I go away next moment or tomorrow, everybody will gather and say she was this, she was that, she was blah 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 blah, or anyone, I will say you were this, you were that, and etc. There is a glory to life, and the real placement of that glory of life is to recognize the truth. I think I'll end with this. I'll just do the Shanti Patha for now. और आप कर सकते हैं. Let me share it. देख सकते हैं?
हाँ जी. यस. तो आज कौन कर रहे हैं?
आप ही कर लीजिए.
मैं कर लेता. हाँ जी. Sure. So, by myself?
If you can, you did the whole thing yourself very well.
I would like to try it.
Do that.
Chalo, thank you. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhag Bhavet.
Good.
Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayen Margen Mahim Mahisha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Ayam Kshobrahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhaya.
Excellent. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.